girdles, we sell Freudian brasiers, and our most popular item are Freudian slips. That's where that came from. Now let me continue. We bear in mind, too, Mr. Justice Holmes' admonition in his now vindicated dissent in the case that's mentioned. Quote, "The Constitution is made for people of fundamentally differing views, and the accident of our finding certain opinions natural and familiar, or novel and even shocking, ought not to conclude our judgment upon the question whether statutes embodying them conflict with the Constitution of the United States." And that court went on. It was a 7-2 vote to find a right to privacy, a right of personal privacy for women when it came to the decision as to whether or not she would carry a pregnancy to term. In trying to compartmentalize and create a formula, the court said, more or less, that in the first trimester, there can be no state interference whatsoever. The woman and her doctor will make that decision. And if the decision is made to terminate the pregnancy, the state cannot interfere with that decision. The state can, however, determine what competency the person performing the procedure will have and things like that. But the decision cannot be infringed upon. Between the first trimester and viability in those long ago days was described as a time when the fetus could have an independent existence outside the woman's womb. During that period, there could be a state concern about the health and welfare of the woman. And that's when certain state requirements could be placed on how the procedure is carried out, where it is carried out, and things such as that. When viability was reached, the state could ban abortions, except in the case where a woman's health or life was at stake. Judge Blackmun then went back into history and talked about how abortions were viewed, and they were always allowed. Some societies said it was a bad thing and you'd be punished. Others thought it was nobody's business. What difference does it make? It's up to the woman. And in those societies where abortion was restricted or banned, it had nothing to do with the welfare of the woman. It had to do with the rights of the man, of the putative father. Again, the woman was merely a vessel. The woman is the fire extinguisher. The woman is to be used in any way that a man chooses, and she has no say-so in it. And in some societies, they can kill a woman if she gets out of line. They call them honor killings. It's everything but that. These are code words which Senator Shoemaker knows the term choose life is. These are two code words. Senator Reapy can say all he wants to about the passion on both sides, and it ought to come out here. He's against abortion. He ought to just say so. I say frankly, without apology, I am against anything that would infringe on a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. What could be more personal than that? And to hear some of these so-called pro-life people, and I say so-called to deal with those hard-faced, hypocritical ones who want to take a position, but they don't show concern that should accord with that position if they really believed in it. Here's the way they want to project a woman getting abortion. Well, I was looking at Senator Linehan today, and I like the way she fixed her hair. So although I usually wore mine in the way of Senator Walz, I'm going to kind of fluff it up and then throw something around the lower edges like Senator Blood's and have it like that. I like that black sweater that Senator Walz has, so I'm going to get a black sweater, and I'm going to get a red skirt, and I'm going to get me some black mesh stockings and some blue shoes. Oh, and I think I'm going to get an abortion. That's not the way women reach that decision. It's not that flippant. It's not that easy. And men are the ones you'll find doing this. If a man had to carry a pregnancy to term, abortions would be available at McDonald's, at Burger King, and every drive-through facility. And that's when they'd say, I want 2 hamburgers with only mustard and onion. I want a large fry. I want a medium milkshake and an abortion. That's the way a man would look at it if he had to go through it. A woman carries the fetus for 9 months, and the man, when the baby is born, doesn't want to carry the baby across the street. And you're going to tell me these men care about these women? Did you say time?
1 minute, Senator.
Oh, thank you. That's hogwash. And when a male-dominated church says it, I have even less respect for it. And when the head of that church, for whom I have respect because of positions he's taken, is now saying he's going to reduce the sanctions of those who were involved in sexual misconduct toward children, and they care about women and children, baloney. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Senator McAllister, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I was disappointed to hear that Senator Chambers was willing to sacrifice his Cougar license plates because of this debate. I don't know if there's enough spaces on the license plate, but I thought I would be Cougar 20. So I hope he doesn't do that. I think this Choose Life license plate is blatantly political. It does have a political connotation, and I think it's unwise for Nebraska to enter into this, this debate. We're opening Pandora's box with this. Confederate license plates, pro-death penalty, anti-death penalty. I don't want to go there. I think we need to stay away from the political activity on license plates. I think it's improper for the Nebraska legislature to authorize blatantly political message on license plates. As Senator DePansing Brooks indicated, government-sponsored speech should be prohibited. I relinquish the balance of my time to Senator Chambers.
Senator Chambers, your yield 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator McAllister. Members of the legislature, so that we can be kind of precise in our language, when we say that language shouldn't be on the plate, we're talking about what good judgment, what prudence would lead us to reject. There are some people who always want to, such as Senator Hilgers, touch on the constitutional allowances, but there are other states that have prohibited this kind of thing from being on their license plate, and the U.S. Supreme Court said they can do that. I haven't raised the constitutional issue. I'm talking about what we as people of judgment, common sense, and who say we respect everybody ought to do. You all, Senator Hilgers, have the majority, just like you showed on the first day of the session. But you don't see me quitting. I'm up here when you all are not up here. You all don't have to be here because you've got the majority votes. Call the House and all your people flock in here like whatever flocks and vote the way they're supposed to. I have to stay here for every debate, every issue, every amendment, and be vigilant. I have to be the sentinel. I have to be the gatekeeper. If I'm the gatekeeper and I keep out something you don't like, I'm wonderful. I'm Horatius at the bridge. But if I keep out something you want, then I'm an obstructionist and all these other things. That's why I reject labels. I have my internal compass that dictates to me what it is I must do. So I'm prepared to fight all of these kinds of plates and similar things. Back to this idea of code words. Everybody knows what Choose Life refers to. Everybody knows. You could talk to young people today and say, final solution. That wouldn't mean anything to them. They might think it's some kind of cleaning substance. But say it to a Jew, any Jew. What does final solution have reference to? And now I've given you a hint. That sounds better than gas chambers, doesn't it? Mass shootings, doesn't it? But that's what that program was called, and the final solution was to rid Europe of every Jew. And to show how foolish the ones were who liked that idea, said that the ones who should survive as the master race are tall, blonde, blue-eyed, white people. And you know who led them? A short, dark, mustachioed
1 minute.
Austrian who might have had some Jewish ancestry. He is the opposite of what he told these lunkheads is the master race. They were so stupid, he was saying what they wanted to hear, so they followed somebody who was the opposite. They followed him because he said what they wanted to hear. That's why a lot of you all follow Donald Trump. He uses code words, make America great again. You know what that means to me? Ku Klux Klan, crosses burned on the lawns, Jewish cemeteries desecrated, Muslim mosques set afire, black people's cars vandalized. That's what make America great means, because he's a racist and he likes segregation. No, he would like slavery. And you all don't want to hear that. But I recognize the echoes and the re-echoes, just like Jewish people recognize certain things that other people don't.
Time, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Chambers, and you're next in the queue.
America great again. Some people say, well, isn't America great now? Or what period are you wanting to go back to? When you could say grab a woman by her privates and do that and it's all right? You can ridicule, mock, and imitate a disabled person, and that's the new norm? That's when America is great? When you can ridicule the family whose son was not a Christian, but who was the leader of a detachment of American soldiers, and he ran up on a truck that turned out to be loaded with explosives, and he was killed. And Trump ridiculed that man's family, talked about his mother. Well, you saw her standing there. She didn't say anything. She probably couldn't say anything. Ha, 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 ha. I'm the one who talked on this floor about how wrong it was for him to order that strike in Yemen. It was not a wise military decision, and some people condemned me for criticizing it on the floor. And now the father of the Navy SEAL who was killed, and Trump went trotting down to Dover Air Force Base